Thank you so much for joining us online this morning. I'm Pastor Lee, the executive pastor here at the chapel, and we want to take this time to welcome you to our online service. This is what we want you to do. We want you to check in. We want you to tell us where you're watching from and start interacting with people on the comment section. Talk to them, tell them how you've missed them. Take a picture of yourself, put it in the comments, and let's greet each other during this greeting check-in time. Hey, we've got an amazing service planned for you today that's going to start momentarily, but right now, let's check in and let's connect with each other.
Did you know the Chapel Jonesboro is on YouTube now? You can download the YouTube app on your Android or Apple device. Open the app up and search the Chapel Jonesboro. There, you'll find the latest content we have to offer. Hey, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you're notified every time we upload new content. Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe today. Did you know the Chapel Jonesboro is on YouTube now? You can download the YouTube app on your Android or Apple device. Open the app up and search the Chapel Jonesboro. There, you'll find the latest content we have to offer. Hey, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you're notified every time we upload new content. Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe today.
everybody. Welcome to our first segment of hashtag Let's Talk. I want to tell you a little bit about how we arrived to be able to do this tonight. I'm Pastor Sabra, one of the lead pastors here at the chapel. This is Pastor Bailey. Her and my son Lee are our executive pastors, and this is Tammy Watts. We serve as our Wonderfully Made Ladies team. We work as a team together with our Wonderfully Made Ladies, and the Lord had laid something on our heart to begin a segment called Let's Talk. It's relevant subjects that we all think about and read about we hear about on Facebook. So we're super excited that this is our kickoff for that segment. Now, first of all, I want to say, guys, this also applies for you. This is not just a ladies ministry event. We're going to talk to one of our male ministers in just a moment and let him tell us some good things about the word that we're choosing to do tonight. But before we get started, wanted to let you know that we want you to like, comment, and share. When you have shared this live stream, come back and comment shared. When you do that, we're entering your name into a contest to win a $50 gift card, Visa gift card, tonight at the very end of the segment. We can't win, ladies. I'm so sorry. Aww. It's like no shopping for us. We're done with Target and Walmart anyway. We bought everything Target and Walmart sells. But we want you to be able to go shopping. So we're giving away a $50 Visa gift card at the end of the segment. So all you have to do is share the live stream and then comment shared. We're going to be watching. You'll be entered into the drawing. And before we're done tonight, we'll actually have the drawing and know who exactly is going to win this gift card. So we're super excited to be here tonight. Ladies, aren't you excited?
Yes, we're excited.
I've been so excited all day long waiting just for this. We want to give a huge shout out to our Connections pastors, Pastor Bruce and Alicia, for our handy dandy mugs. Aren't these like the cutest thing ever with our logo, hashtag Let's Talk. So we're excited about this. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be talking about discipline. Now, not just what you would automatically think of disciplining your children. Because when we say discipline, everybody equates that to being synonymous with punishment. But it's not. It's not the same thing at all. And so what we want to do with our children is to discipline them. But the same word applies to our everyday lives. It applies to us in our jobs, in our home life, in our spiritual life. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take just a little while and talk to you about discipline. The definition of the word discipline means the practice or training to someone to obey a rule or mold into a certain behavior. So when we talk about discipline, we're saying that whether we're trying to discipline ourselves or help along with somebody else's journey, we're molding ourselves into what we want to be or what God wants us to be if it's a spiritual discipline. So what we're going to do is talk about 4 different areas tonight. So grab you a pen, grab you a paper. I know you're sharing. I know that you're commenting shared. I can see you. I'm watching. So if you want to ask a question or make a comment, you're more than welcome to do that. We're kind of new to this. So we're going to try to be watching my phone to see if the questions come in. If you want to ask Pastor Bailey or Tammy a question specifically, be sure that you do that, and we will do our best to address that question if we can. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and I need you guys' input, is what is it that you have struggled with during this season? When I say season, I'm talking about the time that everything's kind of been going haywire, right? For all of us, the season of the coronavirus season, if that's what you want to call it. What is it that you have been struggling with pertaining to discipline? Maybe it was something that you had really been doing good in discipline. And then all of a sudden now we're faced with this pandemic and we don't know what to do. We're trying to navigate our way through it. And so what is it that you've been struggling with? Now I'm going to start. You know, I've got to go first. I've got to be first. So here's mine. So everybody knows that I had been on a weight loss journey. We all know that. And I had started Weight Watchers in January of 2019. And I've always almost reached my goal. And then I would always fail. Like since I was 16 years old, this has been going on. So I joined Weight Watchers after losing weight from a bariatric surgery. I still had like 60 pounds to go. So I joined Weight Watchers, did really good. Man, I was on track. January, February, March, April, May. I was doing so good. You've been on this journey with me too.
Yes.
And going in every week, weighing in. Man, I was getting those little medals that you get on my keychain, and everything was going good. And I hit 49 pounds, and I only had like 11 pounds to go to meet my goal. And then this happened. And so for me, my struggle has been the discipline of eating right. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to lie. I am up almost 2 pant sizes. I'm just going to say it. You know, it's, don't look at me like that. You're like, what?
Well, I'm in my pajamas all day, so I don't know.
But that has been a struggle for me. Eating right, the exercising, I'm just not doing it. I mean, and honestly, I don't have an excuse because I haven't quarantined like some other people have had to do. I've tried to continue as much normalcy in ministry as what I've been able to do. So I've not even been like stuck inside the house, but I've still been eating donuts and chocolate milk and pizza. And it's like, so, okay. So I have totally struggled. So that's mine. So Pastor Bailey, what is it? What area? Because Pastor Bailey has 3 small children and one that was born with respiratory problems. And so what is it that you've struggled with as far as discipline during this time?
Oh, it's like the question, what have I been disciplined with? Because I feel like I haven't been disciplined with anything. Honestly, I would say my morning routine has really lacked. I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, having my time with the Lord, and I've kind of just been sleeping until like eyes peep at me, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So I know that for me, it's just been crazy, and honestly, I want to get back to that, waking up early and having my time, having to be able to prepare my day.
So kind of like your schedule.
Yes.
Because I know that you're a real scheduled
Yes.
person. And with 3 small children, I mean, you almost have to be.
Oh yeah.
And everything
yeah.
just kind of goes haywire.
Yeah.
So what about you, Tammy? Because you've had a whole different ball game. You know, for me, I don't have any children at home. For you, you've got 3 children at home. We're both grandparents. We try to help out as much, you know, with our grandchildren. And I know that you also, you know, you work for Delta.
Yeah.
And so there's been a huge change for you. What is it that you've struggled with during this time?
Well, at first I was working from home, 2 weeks at a time, and then going to the office 2 weeks, and then had to end up taking a 90-day furlough. So that's been definitely threw off my schedule with that, and of course the weight thing too. I mean, them
Girl, you ain't struggled with that. You still a size 5. You ain't got to worry about that.
Them fudge cookies. Every time I walk past them, they just call my name. And I was doing good at exercising, but it's been a real struggle.
It's a struggle.
Yes.
It's a struggle. So talk to me a little bit about the working at home thing, because I know now, you know, you're on the 90-day furlough, I think is what you called it. But prior to that, you were working at home for so many days and then going to the office. So like your schedule was totally mixed up. So at home, what did you get up every morning and get dressed up and put your makeup on and fix your hair, or did you work with your pajamas on? I gotta know.
Well, I got up and I did comb my hair. And,
Well, yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I would take my shower, but I wouldn't put on makeup. You know, so some days if I didn't feel good, then I would just work in my pajamas, you know.
Okay.
I've been rocking the mom bun for like a month or over.
But
So-
you and the mom bun, like, we're not even going to go there because it's perfect. Your mom bun is perfect. So, but we all struggle. And I know that we're talking to a lot of people out there that our struggles are different. I know that I have a friend, Christy Green. She's on here with us right now, one of my real good friends, and she's in the healthcare industry. And so her struggle may be vastly different because she's actually going into the hospitals that is faced with this. So I can't imagine what the struggle would be there. There's other people that are struggling in you know, many different ways. But the fact is that we all struggle. And that we all struggle with being disciplined. We all struggle with knowing, keeping that routine that is going. You know, what works for us, what doesn't work for us. So the second area that I want to talk about, and I have no idea how I got to this river at Tampa Bay, but I'm wanting to be on our live stream here. Let me get it back just for a second because I'm totally in the wrong place. But so let's talk about a win, an area that you've really done good. Like you've really held fast to the discipline that you had set in place for yourself, whether it be secularly or spiritually, something that you've done really good at. So you guys know, if you know me at all, you know how I feel about making the bed in the morning.
Yeah.
You know that is something the Lord spoke to me probably 4 or 5 years back. I haven't always done that. I'm just going to say I haven't always done that. But for me, making the bed starts my day. When I get out of the bed in the morning, I make the bed. Pastor Donnie laughs a lot of times. Well, he don't laugh it initially. He gets upset because if he's in the bed, I make the bed up to where his face is. Like literally put the pillows up to where his face is. So that's an important thing for me because what that says for me is, okay, your day is disciplined and ready to go forward. So during this time, I knew that if I slacked on that, then everything else was going to go crazy for me. So one thing that I can control when everything else seems out of control is whether or not I make my bed. So literally, I still get up every morning. Now, I'm not going to say that my room hasn't been a mess, and I'm not going to say I haven't had things out of place, and my shoes may not have gotten back in the closet, but the discipline of making my bed, the small things, that's important to me. And so that's one area secularly that I have held to is making the bed every single morning when I got up. I kept that my routine.
Yeah.
You want to share something that you feel like has been a win for you?
I too have done the same as making my bed. I've done a lot of cleaning, trying to do a lot of spring cleaning, and me and my husband have been painting the kitchen cabinets, so that is definitely very disciplined because we get up every morning and do the same routine with that. So that is one thing that I have done. Cleaning or keeping up with my plants, I really,
Okay, yay.
yes, I really love that. I mean, he laughs at me. He's like, not another plant, please.
Oh, gosh.
But
We
they're
won't
just,
tell him. He's
okay.
not listening.
But they're just so beautiful. I can't help but, it's just God's beauty.
And that gets you outdoors
Yes,
too, right? Because
yes.
most of your plants are outdoors
Yes.
in your yard.
Yes.
So, my yard's not good. We won't even go there with the yard. How about you, Pastor Bailey?
Well, whereas I failed at the 6 o'clock morning routine, I have kept the night routine
Okay.
because they need to get in bed.
Yeah.
And you need them to be in the bed.
As quickly as possible.
Yes. So I'm like, come on, let's hurry up. But no. So I that's one thing that I have that's a win for me. So, and just making sure like the kitchen is picked up before bed. That's
Yeah.
been good for me as well.
Yeah.
So.
And so I'm going to bring up one of yours that
Okay.
I've seen just from the outside looking in is because you have Jude, and Jude is in first grade, and he's having to change his routine by going to school online. Because like he was at my house the other day, and he's like, Gigi, I have to do school from
Yeah.
Zoom. I've got to get on Zoom. So how has that looked for you? Because, then you've got Leland running wild.
Oh yeah.
And Laz is
Yes.
6 months old. So how has that looked for you?
Well, I mean, basically, I just set Jude up, and then me and Leland go into the other room and play. So that we're not. Sometimes he's running around, but I mean, I just try to do the best that I can do, during that time. But it's like a 30-minute time, and just we
Yeah.
go into the other room and just play.
And Jude is disciplined enough
Yes,
to be able to do
yes.
that. That's so
That's
awesome.
awesome.
That is
awesome.
great. So we've looked at areas that we were weak in, or I guess, I'm not going to say failure, because this is the thing,
Yeah.
is that when we're talking about discipline, we all fail.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't care. Don't let anybody make you think that they're not failing during this time, because we're all in that same arena together. But the difference is whether you choose to get up or not.
Right.
Whether you choose, for me, it will be like, okay, one day this is going to snap, and I'm going to say, you know what, Weight Watchers, I'm coming back to
There
you.
you go.
I'm going to get back on
Yes.
track. I'm going to get back on the treadmill. I'm going to. Oh, I ain't gonna run. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna say that, but I ain't gonna do. But I'm going to get back on track. I know that I'm gonna do this, so I don't look at myself as a failure.
Yeah.
I have just struggled during this time, and so I've loved what you shared. That has been so awesome. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take just a short break, and we're going to shoot you guys a video on YouTube on how to subscribe to our YouTube so that you can make sure that you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. Once we get, I think it's 1,000 subscribers, we can actually go live from YouTube. So have all your family and friends subscribe. And while we do this, we're going to change out and bring Pastor Lee in to give us the male perspective on discipline.
Did you know the Chapel Jonesboro is on YouTube now? You can download the YouTube app on your Android or Apple device. Open the app up and search the Chapel Jonesboro. There, you'll find the latest content we have to offer. Hey, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you're notified every time we upload new content. Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe today.
And welcome back to #Let's Talk. So if you don't know it, this is one of my sons. I have 3 sons and a daughter. Love my family. You guys already know that. So it's like I'm super proud of my family. But Pastor Lee is going to give us a male perspective because, you know, it is different from your view. It has to be very different because you're the breadwinner of the family. I know that you work as well, but, you know, it becomes, you're the priest of the home.
Yes.
So it becomes a whole different role when we're talking about discipline. So how does discipline look for you right now during this time as a male?
Well, honestly, for me, my life has not changed. Everybody's been self-quarantining, but honestly, if my family is going to continue to eat that bread that I'm supposed to provide, I got to get up every single morning and still go to work. You know, it'd be very, 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 very easy for me to wake up and say, I'm not feeling it, I'm going to stay home. Everybody else is quarantining. We're getting stimulus checks, people getting unemployment. It'd be easy for me to sit home and say that, but at the end of the day, if I want my life to be normal and usual when all of this is over, then I've got to wake up and go to work.
Right.
So discipline-wise, I've been disciplined at the fact of, hey, I've got to work. I've got to continue life as usual. We've been talking about this is a new normal that we're going to be in,
Right.
but my normal has had to remain even though it's changed the way that normal looks. And when I think of discipline, there are 3 types of disciplines that I really mirror in my life. And I'm going to hit them real quick because I know I don't have a lot of time, but the first one is preventative. Preventative discipline. And preventative discipline is to me is I'm going to do this task because I know if I don't do it, it's going to get out of hand.
Right.
So it's that taking the trash out in the house thing.
Yeah.
So you got your trash can.
Proactive.
It's all, you know, it's starting to get filled. And yeah, I could go in there and I could smush that trash down and get a little bit more life out of it. But if I continue to smush and continue to pile, before you know it, that trash is overflowing. And so one task that's preventative for me that I make a habit of doing is every morning before I leave to work, I stop by the trash compactor in our neighborhood and I throw the trash out of my car.
Okay.
Out of my
there you
car.
go.
I don't want my car dirty, you know.
Right.
And so I throw all the trash out. And then the next type of discipline is supportive discipline. Supportive discipline. And to me, I see this is going to be an issue, so I change the way I go about it.
Okay.
All right, so an example, Leland, mine and Pastor Bailey's middle child. He is a mess. He is, honestly, he should have been born in caveman era. But an example of this supportive discipline is the other night we had ice cream. And before bed, we were like, we're going to give them ice cream. You guys were on a Zoom call, so it was my responsibility to make sure they got their ice cream. And so I got the chocolate ice cream, and I went in there, and I knew that Jude would be okay with his ice cream, that he was going to eat his ice cream, and it would be completely fine. But I also knew that Leland was going to make a mess. And so usually we would have them eat at the table, but this special night the table was taken.
Right.
And so I was preventative and supportive by saying, all right, Leland, you're going to eat on the floor right here. And I already had a wet towel ready to wipe his mouth and the mess up. Why? Because I saw where it was going. I know with Leland that he's going to make a mess. There was chocolate everywhere, but I didn't let it frazzle me because I was disciplined enough to know that I had already done the supportive task that it would take to handle that. And then last is corrective discipline. We hear correction or corrective and we think of correction. We think, oh, we're going to go spank our children, but that's not for me. I don't apply it that way to my life. Corrective discipline says this. It says, okay, This is a problem, and this is what I have to do to fix it. This is what I have to do to solve that issue. An example, mine and Pastor Bailey's washing machine that we've had for a while is a great washing machine, but where the bleach goes in, it's starting to rust. And the clothes were starting to get stained, and the corrective thing to do was to sand that down. Sand it down and paint it. Multiple layers of paint. Why did I do this? Because if I didn't correct it and fix it, the clothes would be ruined, and before you know it, the washing machine would be ruined. There are 3 simple steps: preventative, supportive, and corrective. If you follow those disciplines in your life, then things don't begin to get chaotic.
Right.
Things are more in your control. And I think men in general have a habit of procrastination. They wait.
You're kidding me. No, can you say that just one
You
more
know,
time?
I'm probably going
I
to get a
just
lot
want-
of hate mail, and probably it's going to be very
Just
bad.
one more time.
But we have a habit of procrastinating,
Oh.
and because of that procrastination, things get out of hand.
Yes.
And so it's important more for us to be disciplined in our lives in order so that we don't have to deal with that.
Right.
So that's what I've been doing. You know, that's my 3 disciplines that I've got going on.
Aren't you glad I raised him
Oh
to
my
be
gosh,
so
he's
smart?
amazing. Like the other day, the kids were going wild, and he comes home and like helps me clean up the house. I mean, he's just awesome.
Well, I'm glad you're so awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy, is
It's
it?
not. It's not.
It's because I'm sure that you carry a lot of load. And I
do.
know that you carry a lot of load with being with them all day long. But then you're trying to figure out, how are we going to make sure that we don't get
Yep.
behind on rent and bills, because that weight does fall on your shoulder.
Exactly.
And you do so much here at the church, I'm
I'm pulled between a lot of different places,
Yep.
and without discipline,
Right.
that could get the best of me.
Right.
But the fact that I am disciplined in multiple areas of my life, that doesn't affect me. It's not a big deal when I'm here at the church until 8 p.m. in the night, because my discipline says I already have things put in place to
Right.
take care of my home
Right.
while I'm gone.
Yeah.
When I come home, it's not going to be chaotic because of the disciplines that I've done and put in prior to
Yeah.
place.
So it would be safe to say then that we could agree that discipline, you have to be proactive with your
You do.
discipline.
You do.
So there's not really a such thing as disciplining in the moment.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. You have to be disciplined. You have to plan.
Yes.
What's one of my favorite words? Intentional. We have to be intentional about the discipline that we have in our lives. So thank you, Pastor Lee.
Oh,
Y'all give
thank you.
Pastor Lee a hand.
It's been my pleasure.
This is not your cup, so you
I
can't.
know I'm not going to drink y'all's cups. It's beautiful, pretty. I got shout out to Tammy Zwicker. She brought me a delicious chocolate shake
well, there
from
you
Burger
go.
King. So,
There
I'm
you
all
go.
taken care of.
There you go. All right. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
We're going to switch back out and bring Tammy Watts back in with us to finish up the segment. Let me make sure I've got enough time here. So our last point is, what does the Bible actually say about discipline? What does the spiritual model look like? Because sometimes we've heard a lot during the coronavirus about what the models look like. Some of the models really have just been ridiculously overshot. But I'd almost rather them be that way than be undershot. Does that make sense? So we talk a lot about models. So what does the model spiritual discipline look like? And what does the Bible say about that? Every athlete must train to win. Nobody can sit on the couch eating Cheetos for months and hope to compete in the race. We won't even go there with me. No one can do that and expect to be something different, right? The best athletes are intensely disciplined. I want us to think about this. They follow a strict diet. They follow strict exercise regimens to beat their body into peak physical condition so that when the game is on the line, they are ready. And that's what Pastor Lee really was trying to drive home to us, that it is an intentional decision. Can I tell you that our life is about choices? Yeah. Our life is about choices. And if we make the choice to be disciplined or the choice not. Some people will say, well, it's just, ain't nobody ever made me make my bed. Ain't nobody, because I'm big about washing your car and keeping your car clean, And during this time, I haven't let that go, because that's important to me. But see, here's the thing is that we have to be intentional.
Yes.
We don't just decide one day, that I'm going to be disciplined and go back and change our past. It's intentional going forward. So when the game is on the line, the athlete is ready. we know that this is true for our physical condition, but there is a disconnect with how we think about our spiritual condition. We don't put as much time and effort into our spiritual lives sometime as we do our physical lives. You know, we will be disciplined to hit that Weight Watchers meeting. We know it's coming. For you, it's Thursday mornings.
Yes.
You know, nothing can stand in the way of that. For me, for a long time, it was Tuesday mornings. And then that got changed. But it was an intentional thing of when I went to bed at night, I knew what I was going to wear the next day to get up and be able to go to my meeting and to be able to weigh. But do I put that much thought into my spiritual condition? Because I think sometimes we expect to be able to come to church and pastor's going to give us an anointed message and then we go home and that's all we need again. We can make it till Wednesday and we come on hump day and we get over hump day and then we can make it again till Sunday. But I believe that we fail sometime in our spiritual disciplines. The sad reality is that many Christians are unfit because they are so undisciplined. I've done that. I've been there. Maybe I'm there in a lot of areas now, but we're unfit because we are so undisciplined when it comes to the spiritual things. How many hours a day do we watch TV? I mean, think about the time that we've spent watching all of this on the coronavirus. How long have we spent reading about it? Well, Pastor Saber, that's given us knowledge. Okay, that's great, but it's also distracting us from the very purposes that God has called us to do. I know that you suggested to our wonderfully made ladies a book that you had been reading that had really helped you. Do you remember the name of that book? I know it was Beth Moore.
Yeah, it was Beth Moore. It was Breaking Spiritual Strongholds.
Yeah, and so that has helped you during this time.
Because I've struggled a lot with anxiety through this whole thing, and just honestly, just clinging on to that and His Word is just I'm like clinging on to it because there's a lot going on.
Right.
So that's really helped me.
Yeah.
And just remembering those scriptures and just saying them out loud and speaking. And I put the full armor on every single day, and so do my boys. Every single day we put that on.
Yep. And so it's important because you had to be intentional, right? Because when do you find time to read? I mean,
Exactly, with 3.
we ain't got no kids at home, and it's like we're trying to figure this out here, but you had to be intentional that you were going to carve out that time. You were going to discipline yourself to be discipled in that area, to be able to read something that's going to feed you spiritually. And that in return helps your anxiety.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. Like, without Him, like, I couldn't. So I, cling on to His Word.
Right. And so we have to be intentional about that. So in the reality that sometimes we're unfit because we're just not disciplined. And so we can't correct a problem that we don't realize we have, right? So I would say that I know the 3 of us agree. We need y'all to agree with us too as well, that there are areas in our life that we're just unfit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just go ahead and say it. We're aware of that because now we can change it. Now we can say, okay, I recognize that I'm lacking in the discipline of reading my word. I'm lacking in the discipline of spending time in prayer with Him. Because just watching TV or even watching our live stream, I love that you watch our live streams. I love that because that's kept us connected. But that can't take the place of you spending your intimacy with God. It can't take the place of us spending that special time, that one-on-one time, the time that we grow. Nobody drifts into discipline.
Yeah.
Nobody drifts. Just as the undisciplined body becomes sluggish and fat. No, I didn't say that. But just as the undisciplined body becomes sluggish and fat, the undisciplined spirit will become weak. And then that's when we start deciding, can I really do this? We start second guessing ourselves. Here at our women's ministry, I'll take it back there for just a minute. We know we are wonderfully made. If there's one thing we drive home to our ladies and the people that we can minister to is that you are very important. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And when you speak to yourself every single day, if you're speaking negative, you're speaking negative to God. We believe that, right? Yes. Some of us, we put Post-it notes on our mirrors and we get up in the morning and say, you're a hot mama.
Yeah.
You look good for 54 years old. You know what I'm saying? So we have to think that same way about our discipline. We have to become intentional about doing that because if we are living a life of not being disciplined, undisciplined, then we're spiritually weak. Just like physically the athlete couldn't go fight. How can we fight our everyday struggles spiritually? How can we fight this spiritual battle if we have allowed ourselves to become weak? It's a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice. We have to decide tonight to change that. So I'm speaking to someone on our live stream that you've been struggling. I know that you've been struggling, and you are asking yourself, how in the world am I going to pick up from here? Because I'm feeling the anxiety. I mean, you admitted that, that you had a struggle with anxiety. We probably all have if we were truthfully honest, but you're sitting there trying to figure out, so you're saying to yourself, well, okay, I could do that if I was a pastor. I hear that so many times. Can I tell you this is not an easy life? It doesn't just come easy. We have to wake up in the morning speaking over ourselves that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, that no weapon formed against me will prosper, and that I am going to disciple myself today into being what God has called and purposed for me to do. So that's part of the disciplines. Nobody drifts into disciplines. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's a growing process. This is why Paul coaches Timothy in 1 Timothy 4, 7, and 8, and I love this scripture. He says, train yourself for godliness. For while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds a promise for the present life and also for the life to come. Our physical bodies are going to die. Like, I'm really trying not to preach this to y'all. But I get so excited when I talk about it, because I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to have anxiety. And I know that there are people every day that struggle so greatly with this. I have been there. I have done that. I have struggled with it. But I will tell you that when I speak over myself the words of God, when I speak over myself that no weapon formed against me is going to prosper, that God loves me, that I can do this thing through him, that I am more than a conqueror, that I find myself being uplifted in the spirit. It uplifts me. It makes me be able to go forward knowing that I can discipline myself in that area and that I can grow in him. This verse that I read you is the cornerstone of spiritual disciplines, because it spells out their purpose, which is training for godliness. If we are training our physical bodies, do you know that our physical bodies are going to die?
Yes.
They're going to die. We're not going to live forever. I hate to bust our bubble, but from the day you are born, you're in a dying process.
Yes.
It's like, well, just a way to lift our spirits. That the fact is that from the day we're born, our physical bodies are dying. That's why our spirits are so important. Yeah. That's why it is so important for us to be disciplined in the things of the Spirit, because that's the eternal things. I heard Pastor Donnie say one time to me, is this going to change your eternity? What you're fussing about? Because, I can't do that. I'm famous for that. You haven't ever seen that, have you? But, okay, I'm getting tickled. But is this going to change your eternity? The thing that you're stressing over, the thing that's bringing us anxiety, is it really going to matter tomorrow? Yeah. If, your kid didn't get a bath at 6 o'clock and he didn't get one until 8 o'clock, or, if you didn't put your makeup on to do your work for Delta, nobody is seeing that, right?
Right.
So we get so built up, such anxiety and such stress that we bring on ourselves when it's not really of anything internal value. What we should be looking toward is the Word of God, spending time with Him. What is making me grow spiritually? Something that is eternal. Yeah. Do you have anything else that you guys want to share before we end this segment?
Just what you were talking about, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, knowing what God says about us. You know what I'm saying? Is just amazing to me,
Yep.
So.
How about you?
Well, every day whenever I've been doing my kitchen cabinets, I just keep singing, the weapon will form, but it will not prosper. I just sing that all day long.
Yep.
My son started singing it yesterday after I did, and that just tickled me pink.
Yes, because you're planting seeds.
Yes.
See, we don't realize this too, that in our homes, we're creating the atmosphere. I say this so many times, and I know, ladies, some of you may disagree with me, and that's okay. but you've been wrong before. LOL. um, but it is our job as women to create a home for our families. It is our job. I have always felt like I love that my children are all grown. I have no children at home. This is the first time ever Pastor Donnie and I have lived alone. Because, I already had Lindsay when we got married. And so we're learning how to do this thing. It's like every day is a new adventure. But I love that my children can come home and walk through the front door. They don't have to wait for me to answer the front door because it's their home. I have created a place that is inviting for them to be able to come back home. Open the refrigerator, pile their purse full of Diet Cokes. That would be Lindsay, since that's my only daughter. And or Pastor Lee, when he comes in the morning, he goes straight to the pantry. He gets him a Pop-Tart, and he'll go to the refrigerator and I don't ever want that to change because it is our job. And so what you're saying is that you just singing that song and Tyler coming along and singing that brings a mother's heart joy.
Yes.
What helps me too is like this morning, I was just telling God, like I looked at all of my kids and said, I'm so thankful for them. God, thank you so much. Because a lot of times as moms, I feel like you feel like, okay, they're just a duty, but they're not, they're a blessing.
Right.
And things might get crazy and stuff, but that totally changed my perspective today.
Right. That's really good.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed this so much. Like I've really enjoyed it. I don't think we've went over time, but I've really enjoyed it. So we're going to give just a second for us to be able to choose the winner from the ones that have shared. I think we may have had a problem with our live stream, but we were able to get the names logged in of those that have shared. I want us to remember that when we are faithful in the small disciplines, God rewards us in the big. We have to show that we are faithful in the small things. We have to be good stewards of what God has given us, whether it's our children or our cars or our homes or our church. I think we're all realizing we miss our church.
Oh, yes.
We miss our church family. This is the first time that I've seen you, in weeks. And it's like, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to go this long without seeing you and Lenny, okay? So, but if we're faithful in the small things, those small disciplines, the small disciplines, God will reward us with so much more. So we want to determine today to be faithful in those disciplines. So Christopher has been helping us with putting in the app. We're not drawing out of a hat. Your names have been entered into an app that we have, and the app randomly chooses our winner. So our winner, and I'm looking real hard here because they're holding up the paper. I see it now. I see it. The winner of the $50 Visa gift card is Marcia Duck Hilly. Marcia Duck Hilly, our friend Marcia Duck Hilly. So Marcia, if you will just DM me your, I know that you're quarantining because of Brady and his condition and you're not getting out. So if you will DM me your address, I will put this in the mail to you first thing in the morning. Marcia Duck Hilly, you have won. Yay. So send me a private message with your address so I can get that into the mail to you. I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank you guys. You guys are the bomb for me. It's like...
You're the bomb.
No.
You're awesome sauce.
Oh. I love you guys so much, and I thank you so much to our staff that has been out here, agging us on. I'm not even going to tell you what they've been out there doing, but I thank them so much, and to everyone that helped us to make this segment a success. I appreciate that. Thank you to our live stream audience that have been so faithful to log on and to watch our services. Go back and watch the replay, take notes. I hope that something that has been said has changed your life and something that we have shared our experiences and being so transparent has helped someone exactly where you're at today. I want to remind you that Sunday morning we will be live streaming our services here at 10:30. So I want you to be sure and log on and greet everybody. We're doing a special thing at the beginning because our people we're lovers at this church, right? We hug and we are, we don't, it's hard for us to fist pump. Where did the fist pump even come from?
I know, that's right.
So it's like, we're missing all of you so much. So we've taken a small time before our live stream starts to we call greeting. That was thanks to Pastor Alicia that gave us that idea. So we're greeting each other and we're telling each other how much we love each other, miss each other. And so 10:30 Sunday morning, we will have live worship. Pastor Donnie, I know, is going to have an anointed word from God that's going to help us. So make sure that you tune into our live stream, and then be sure and listen next week for the announcement. We're putting things into place so that we can come and worship together once again, and still adhere to the guidelines that is coming along with phase 1. So we want to make sure that we do those and follow those guidelines. So give us a week, to put those things into place, and then we'll be addressing those as well, and we'll be able to see you face to face. Thank you so much. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us.
Did you know the Chapel Jonesboro is on YouTube now? You can download the YouTube app on your Android or Apple device. Open the app up and search the Chapel Jonesboro. There, you'll find the latest content we have to offer. Hey, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you're notified every time we upload new content. Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe today.